What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mamaverse podcast, where we bring experts in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness to talk about how moms can improve their overall health in their daily life. I'm your host, Tu-Hien Lee, and our guest today is Suzannah Butcher, a money mindset coach. Suzannah is an award-winning money mindset coach with over 14 years experience of running online businesses. Suzannah works with female entrepreneurs who lack confidence when it comes to money, realize their worthiness, and earn more money in their business. She lives in Devon, UK with her husband and 2 children. Hi, Suzannah, and welcome.
Hi, Tu-Hien. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we are so excited to have you on today and to chat about money mindset. So, would you like to just tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got inspired in getting into money mindset?
Yeah, that's fine. So up until my 30s, I wasn't in business. I started out in business when my daughter was my son was 4, my daughter was 2. So over the years, I've done quite a few different businesses. And when I first started, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just completely winging it. And my business has kind of evolved. I was doing direct sales for a while. Then I sort of came into doing jobs and community sites for mums. And then I trained as a coach and an EFT practitioner, which I know we'll discuss a bit later. And it's only been really the past 18 months or so that I kind of niched into money mindset. It's kind of important to say that I just felt like part of me didn't want to do money mindset. I was like, I can't do money mindset. I can't do money mindset. And I think that was because I'd had so many struggles myself with money. With regards to my upbringing was really challenging around money, difficult life experiences like being in debt and going through poverty and IVF and all these really difficult things. And that kind of transferred into my business because I was finding that I didn't feel worth what I was charging. And, I had all these pricing wobbles. So I was really resistant to it, but I just kept getting these like nudges from the universe, like go in this direction. People need to hear this stuff. People need to know about this money stuff. And so, that's how I came to become a money mindset coach.
I love this topic because I know in the entrepreneur world, there is a lot of discussion about money mindset around like exactly like you said, how you price your products, how you make business decisions. But I don't know if a lot of people outside of like the entrepreneur circle really understand or know much about the money mindset. So let's talk about that, because obviously that impacts your personal life, not just in your business. There's like so much to unpack there. So what are some of the common challenges that you see when you're working with clients around money mindset?
So I think that, you're absolutely right. It does all feed into your personal life. I think when you're in business as well, they're kind of all entangled in a way. But from a personal aspect, I kind of knew that I always avoided money. And when we had money, I was a great spender, like I could really spend it. But I really avoided looking at money. So I'd never checked the bank account. I just left everything to my husband. Whenever we'd have a money meeting, I'll just get kind of really emotionally charged around it, I guess. So that's how it kind of happened for me in my personal life. With regards to clients, the money mindset stuff that I help people with, a lot of it is really tied up with self-worth. And I see a lot of female business owners who really struggle with being visible online, and they struggle with feeling worthy around their pricing, and they compare themselves all the time to other people in business. And we all do this. I still do this sometimes now, but it's all those kinds of things. So it's just helping people realize that sometimes it doesn't just show up as money mindset. Quite often it is the self-worth stuff as well. And very often that, unfortunately, as a lot of stuff does, it does go back to childhood. And being rejected in some way or being humiliated or shamed in some way can really cause us to have those self-worth wounds that then manifest in our business, especially when it comes to money and visibility.
Mm-hmm. So as an entrepreneur, I didn't realize how emotional money is. And then I had to do my own money mindset work as well. And even sometimes I still feel like I need to go back and like keep revisiting and like working on the topic. So it's really interesting that you say that a lot of people have this tie with money and worthiness. Like,
Yeah.
can we like dig into that a little bit more? Like, what's the connection that people are making? Why is it that it's manifesting as in money?
I think, like I said, it is because of that early stuff around feeling humiliation and shame and rejection in some way. So
Mm,
when we're in our business and we want to show up live or we want to change our pricing, the main concern is, what are other people thinking about us? What are other people saying about us? Are we going to be rejected? Are we going to
mm,
be shamed in some way? So it causes a lot of people to just hide and, yeah, not want to be visible. And, it's really interesting because it's not just around, people sometimes say like it's because it's for people that like can't get their business off the ground, or it's for those early days of business. But when you hear a lot of entrepreneurs speak, this kind of super successful entrepreneurs, a lot of them will say, I'm really scared of losing my money. I'm so afraid I'm just going to lose everything. Or they can't get past a certain income block because they feel that they can't earn more than a parent, for example. So there's so many different ways that these kind of money blocks and issues can weave their way into our business and upset the apple cart, so to speak.
mm. So you mentioned a little bit earlier that before you even became a money mindset coach, that you personally had like your own blockers around, like anytime there was a discussion about money or finance, it was like very charged, just made you feel uncomfortable. So, I mean, our audience is all mostly women and parents. And obviously, once we have kids, it really gets more stressful. There's more responsibility. So, for those listeners who may also relate to that feeling of like not basically not wanting to look at it, not wanting to talk about it, like what's some advice that you can give them around that? Maybe it's they don't really understand or realize what like the root cause of that is. So what would be like a good advice or step to like open up to finance?
So I think the first thing to be really aware of is what's happening in your body. Because I spoke about that emotional reaction and that was all in my body. So how it kind of manifested for me was, whenever I had this money meeting with my husband, I'd get this feeling of tightness in my chest. I'd feel a bit nauseous. My throat would close up. I'd kind of end up crying as well. So as women are kind of looking at money stuff and maybe looking at bills or checking bank account, just see what's coming up physically for you, because that can really tell you a lot. And I think we're very good at suppressing stuff and like ignoring it and thinking, oh, that's fine, I'll just get on with my day and that will come out later. And we keep doing it, and then we all know, right, there's this moment where we just go boom, and everything comes out all at once. So it's really important to address those feelings and just start thinking, okay, well, I do feel a bit of tightness in my chest. What is this about? And just having a little bit of space to pause and think, is there a message here around money that I've picked up somewhere, that somehow people with money are bad or greedy? All these messages that we get in childhood, money doesn't grow on trees. My parents in particular would be very negative about people with money, very resentful as well. So I took on a lot of those beliefs, and I felt like, money isn't for people like me. Like, our family doesn't have money. That is just the way it is. So, it does take a little bit of time, but just having that initial awareness can be a really good first step into that kind of journey, really. And what helped me in the beginning was just writing stuff down. So if I was getting these emotional things come up, I would just write it down and try and think about what it was about, go a bit more in depth with it.
Mm-hmm. For me, I've always felt like you had to work super hard to get money. And I remember getting to the point of like, man, I worked so hard to get here. If I want to double that, do I have to double my output? Like, I think I would just collapse. I don't think that's possible. And I'm sure there's like a lot of common themes that probably women feel or just people feel about around money. It's really interesting that I don't know, like a lot of it's been programmed from our past. And then now it's kind of on us to self reflect on, do we really believe that? Or is that something that we picked up, right? Like a foreign energy or a thought that you learned in childhood that's not really something that aligns with you.
That's right. And it is really hard, because a lot of the time it is subconscious. So we're not really even aware of it. So that's why I use things like tapping and the journaling. And there's loads of great journaling questions online where, you can just search money journaling questions and a whole host of questions will come up that can really help you to uncover some of this stuff. Because to start with, you might think, well, yeah, I did feel a bit funny about money that day, but I've got no clue why that was. Like, I just felt a bit weird. But these journaling questions just help you to really think about it on a deeper level. So yeah, that's quite a good little tip, really.
I like that. I like that. Have you noticed that women are women like the main keeper in their house of the finance, or do you have a sense of that?
I think that it's a lot different now to what it used to be. And I think this is why sometimes we have these kind of generational patterns, because if we even think as near as kind of 50 years ago, a lot of the time women tended to, and I'm speaking generally here, women tended to be at home, homemakers with the children, and the dads would go out to work. Now, of course, because of the way that things are in the world, more women are going out to work and contributing to the finances. So I think it is a little bit more equal, but I do think there's probably a slight disadvantage in as much as I think probably more men deal with the family finances than women, generally speaking. Of course, there's always going to be exceptions to that. And I think sometimes with money stuff, opposites attract. So quite often you'll get a overspender that's matched with somebody who likes to kind of hoard and be really frugal with money, and you might get someone that's really organized with money, and then someone that's kind of really haphazard and doesn't pay their bills on time, that kind of thing. And sometimes those things can really complement each other. But likewise, sometimes that can cause problems in relationships as well. So it's just worth being aware of, thinking about if you're in a partnership of any kind, what your partner's money habits are and whether they match your habits or complement them, or whether they kind of go completely opposite directions.
That's probably one of the most important characteristics in a partner as you're, discovering like you should have complementary and hopefully beneficial money mindset and money patterns, because I think that's like a cause for a lot of fights and separations. So it's a good topic to discuss ahead of time. You did mention EFT tapping earlier. Can you give us some more information on that and some background on that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And basically what you do through the tapping is you tap on various points on your face and upper body. And you're tapping on meridian points, which are used in, I'm sure most of the guys listening would have heard of acupuncture, for example. So all we're doing is literally tapping on some of those acupuncture points. And when you think about traditional Chinese medicine, they kind of believe we have this energy in our body. And we've got, if you can imagine it like train tracks going all up and down our body. And when the train tracks are, all in working order, all the trains are flowing freely, right? And then if you have a cracked or broken track, then things start to go off course. And this is how I like to describe things like emotional blocks and things like that. So if things aren't flowing freely, then we will get these negative emotions come up. So what we're doing through tapping is we are, first of all, acknowledging the truth of how we're feeling. And sometimes that's negative. And then we are tapping on looking at possibilities, looking at ideas for growth, and then we're tapping on positive as well. So throughout a round of tapping, you might tap on these points, you know, up to kind of do up to 6 rounds of tapping before you start to feel the shift of it. But yeah, it's really impactful. And for me, it really helped me because I'd done quite a lot of head money mindset work in terms of kind of trying to retrain my brain. But for me, because of all the trauma that I'd experienced around money and self-worth, I also had to work with my body as well. And that's what tapping really gave me, that opportunity to work with both and heal. It's called somatic healing, which is when you heal through your body, and you can use things like yoga and breath work as well, meditation, to heal somatically. It's really, really good way of addressing those problems. So yeah, tapping is amazing. I'll give you, like, it does look weird. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody tapping, like, have you seen it before?
Yeah.
When I first started out, I was like, oh my God, like, is this worth giving a go? But yeah, once I really got into it and just tried it and thought, oh my God, like, I do feel calmer. And this is the thing, you know, we have this nervous system that holds all these emotions in from years and years ago, and tapping just helps you to calm down your nervous system and restore that lovely harmonious energy in your body as well.
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, it's one thing to know in your brain something, it's another thing to feel it in your body. So the tapping is like connecting the dots between what your brain is thinking and like feeling in your body, so that it's like it's so that you kind of understand these concepts on a different level, not just like, you know, not just like intellectually, but you understand it, you're trying to understand it more holistically. So is that correct?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it's this kind of mind body connection. And, you know, it's not, I know it sounds a bit woo woo, but it's not all woo woo. There's been so much great research done around EFT, and not just EFT, but also muscle memory and the fact that we do hold trauma in our bodies. There's a guy called Peter Levine who's done a lot of work around breath work to release trauma. So a really good thing to look at is when a wild animal, for example, is being chased by a